Okay. Looks like we're live. This. All this. Don't fall. How's it going, everyone? Hope the volume of the mic isn't too bad. If one of you get one of you gets a chance, you can let me know. You know, I might do some grip tape on the mouse. However, I think I'm gonna replace it because lightweight mice like this one, they just don't do it for me as much as I thought. Thank you. The mic's at a good volume. That's good. That's good. Kind of wish I could do some background music for this that wasn't copyrighted. But I don't have the money to spend on uncopyrighted music. Yeah, what I'm doing right now is I'm just lubing up the switch housings, and then I'm gonna do the switch stems as well. Just so that it makes a nice thunk sound when you hit it, the switch. Yeah, well, the camera isn't exactly the best. It's a little old. Oh no, no, it's it's lube, not paint. Yes, yes, the thunk sound. Right now they're not quite thunky right now. I'm gonna change that. Yeah, so this build is going to be a Christmas present. Ugh. I mean, I do have paint, but I'm not using it right now. Although I am terrible at painting. I know art is subjective, but I am objectively bad at it. Cool. Oh no, too much. Ice cream sandwich. Yeah, yeah. Doing the animation stuff. You know, that's the one thing I do not know how to do. I don't know how to make the animations. I do know how to edit videos, but not my favorite, you know? Yeah, like the one thing. It's just the lime flavored taro chips. Interesting. You know, it does sound very good. Sweet with the sour. Very interesting. Come on. Don't fall. You don't want to fall. There we go. Now for the more difficult part. Getting everything assembled without it falling through. I got all my switch housings. And I have to line them all up in this. Put the springs back on it. Then I have to get the stems in there without knocking it all over so that I can put the top back on. Yeah. Come on, there we go. You know, who needs to wake up for 10 a.m. class when you can make keyboards all night long? Don't worry, I'll wake up though. Yeet. Hope everyone can see the stuff. I know the glare is kind of bad. Come on. Definitely not. We wouldn't think of it. I appreciate it. It's been a while since we've hung out. So this is going to be a Christmas present for my girlfriend. And what I have is a set of keycaps. Oh. 1 second. The final build will have a pet theme to it. So we're gonna go with the Shiba theme right here. We have all these keys down here. And I know it has Japanese text on it, but I think it still goes well with the theme. I hope it's not overexposed. It's kind of hard. Nice. Oh, that's not the motherboard. Yeah, they're XDA profiles. Yeah, unfortunately I'm using a webcam, so there's not really much I can do for exposure. Yeah, so the keycaps, if I can describe them, they have like a Shiba theme to them. And a bunch of cute dogs on them. See, difference? That's the new and lubed version. That's the unlubed. Lubed. Unlubed. Makes a difference. Hi. That's not good. A lot of your chats are getting flagged for moderation. I have to keep letting them through. Yeah, I talked through my work. Don't worry, I approved them. It's not me, it's the algorithm. It knows. The hard part with these is I think they have a little bit of factory lube on them, but it's not very consistent. So I have to change that. But I can't do too much, otherwise it loses all of its character. Because these are Akko sponges. They have a little tactile bump. It's a little bit more than the original. Or those Otemu Browns that came with the stock keyboard. I'm gonna have to do another stream where I do all the soldering for this. Yes, here I am just getting all this lube on my fingers. Because my jeweler's tool won't grab the stems. No, that's, you're thinking of welding. This is, soldering. Oh, this stem is broken. Crazy. So soldering just makes a connection, whereas welding fuses the two things together. Welding can also be done with electricity, like a beam of plasma. Soldering just kind of puts the thing on top, a layer of like lead or tin on top of, or some other conductive metal on top. And for keyboards, that's pretty much all I really need for it. Don't feel like I need to weld them. Don't need to weld them in. It'd be a little excessive. I'm sure someone's done it. No, Rule 34 exists for a reason. If you can think it, someone's done it. But yeah, welding can be done with fire. The soldering tool that I use, just a little soldering iron like this. Okay. No worries. Yeah, you should probably focus on that essay. Might be important. Ah, yeah, going back to old stuff covered before. Not always fun. Also, the trolley problem's kind of worn out at this point. I mean, you could talk about quantum entanglement and how there's infinite possibilities in which you do or do not. And if you bring that in, then it's not really a decision that you have to make because the decision has infinitely been made. So you could have infinitely many times where you did pull the lever and infinitely many times where you did not pull the lever. Also, infinitely many times where you pulled the lever just in time and switched it back so you hit all four people. You know, drifting style. Where you maximize that M word that I probably am not allowed to say on YouTube. Yeah, quantum physics, crazy stuff. All I can think of is the Pokemon theme song with that. Compatibilism, not cannibalism. Got it. I think I've heard of that one. I might not have. Where personal responsibility comes in if everything's already been determined. Yeah, and I see if everything's been determined, then we live in a set system where things are determined. But we don't. Ah. Ow. Yeah, I can see that that's a little different. The theory's there. Well, I guess cannibalism's not a theory, unless it is. I mean, it's more a practice than a theory. Not maintain that humans are free, but can't. There we go. I think that's a little better. Maybe. Slightly darker. Is that good or bad? Messed around with some OBS settings, so hopefully it went better. Come on. Yeah, the problem is I have this overhead light that just kind of ruins the whole exposure. And my webcam skews to the green section of color, so it kind of makes me look like I'm in the Matrix. And for all I know, I might be in the Matrix. Computer simulation. So I have to do 74 of these. And there's not 74, 68 of these. Well, that's good. Hey, that was Cypher's argument in Matrix 1. If it looks like steak, tastes like steak, well then that's good enough for me. So I have to do. So I have 45 in this pack right here, and I need to get 68. So I had to get 2 packs of 45. And it's almost easier to just do the whole pack than to count out with how many I need exactly. Because you can kind of zone out and just get them all done. Then you never have to worry about it again. Oh, it's definitely going to take more than one night. The last one took me 3 days, I think. It was 2 or 3 days. But that was also because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I do know. It shouldn't take nearly as long. Because I kind of developed a process. Yes, the click is very satisfying. They do actually make a single one you can make attached to your keychain, so you can have a fidget key. But yeah, those switches you want sound like the clicky switches. They have a little click bar in them that makes them sound very clicky. These ones are tactile, which means they just have a little bump on them where you can feel when they actuate. Linear ones have no bump, no click. They just kind of go all the way down to actuate. Some of them don't have to go all the way down, but a lot of them do. But I have a clicky one that I can share. It's cherry, and it's kind of an older one. I need to kind of refurbish it. So like this one. Yeah, that's a clicky one right here. Cherry Blues. And this one is tactile. They're Everglide Oreos. Well, yeah, I guess they do kind of sound retro because they're mechanical is what retro was. That's what the first ones were, which is why everyone's kind of going after the old IBM style. Though it's one of the most sought after tactile keyboards. IBM Model B, I think it was. But yeah, no, that one's my tactile one. Well, the reverberations are just different builds of the boards. What I do to minimize that is I put foam in the bottom of it to prevent the pinging noise. Because I do not like the pinging noises. Some people do, but I don't. I guess it's more of a millennial thing than a Gen Zer. Gen Zs don't appreciate the old quality. It's gotta have RGB, or they don't mess with it. Yeah, the reason why I decided to start streaming up again was because I consider myself neither a millennial nor a Gen Zer. I'm right in the middle. I'm like that generational divide. Like, I grew up with all this stuff that 90s kids grew up with. But I also had an iPhone, too, where I grew up on the internet. So, you know. Right smack dab in the middle. Hey. The other problem with me is I know a lot about the older stuff that most Gen Zers don't know about. But that's just because I'm an old school type of guy. Even though I'm a technology based guy. Yes, Stuck in the Middle with You. I do like that song. I Nope. Do not drop the spring. You drop one of these things, they just fly everywhere, and you can't find them. But yeah, what inspired me to start streaming up again was I started watching a couple channels, and they did a keyboard challenge. And they were all challenging each other to build a keyboard for less than $100. And I figured, I can do that. I got a couple lying around. So I got into the custom scene again, instead of just doing pre-built stuff. So I taught myself how to solder. I started taking stuff apart and just figured out how to do it. And because of that video, I learned that I could do it. And ultimately, I want to beat them. I want to compete against them. Though I know I can't beat some of them that live out in, like, Singapore. They have access to much cooler stuff than we do. But yeah, after I graduate, I kind of want to get back into streaming. It seems like something that'd be fun to get back into and teach myself how to get the camera stuff done. So I kind of already do audio. Just need to get more visual training, I suppose. The V in AV. Yeah. A portable keyboard. Hey, one of them just... His name's Louis Toe. And he made a keyboard for $40, completely custom. Yeah, I can't draw, I can't paint, but I can. I can build mechanical things, and I guess that's a art form in and of itself. So I like it. It's a combination of both mechanical stuff and electronics. So, two interests that I have. And I like the audio quality too, where I get to see what changes it, little changes that make big difference. It's a fun thing because I'm impatient. I like to see results. And something like this, where I'm lubing it, gives you instant results. Tadashi, yeah. Is Tadashi the older brother or the younger brother? I forget. So I'm a lot more like the older brother in that movie. At least in my opinion. In my objectively correct subjective opinion. Hey, I was right. That's cool. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, too. Fun fact, the one that has the I'm actually related to the one that has the skates. She's like my second cousin. So the one that voiced the skate girl, she's my second cousin. Not blood related, but it's cool nonetheless. What was her name? It was Gogo something, I think. Hey, one of us has to. I've never met, to be fair, I've never met my cousin ever. I just found out one day when my uncle came in and told me. Ah, that's the name. Might be third cousin, second cousin. I don't remember. I don't know how that works. But I do know distant relation. And it was through marriage, not blood. Yeah, I'm already spoken for, but yeah, no hitting on cousins. We don't do that. can do the very platonic, very good looking, but no further. I never understood when people. Oh, no, we're not doing Sweet Home Alabama. No. But see, I never understood why people thought that I was related to Markiplier until I found out that he is also both half Korean and part German. And then it all made sense. Which, on the record, I am not related to him. But it's happened a lot of times where people think that they figured me out. No. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, just imagine how many famous people you're related to that you wouldn't know. No, they don't usually do sibling. They usually think like cousin or related somehow. But I have heard it before. I Oh, that's why. Whoopsies. I just did that one backwards. I was wondering why that one didn't feel right. Much better. Amazing when you do things correctly. It sounds better. And actually works, functions. can't relate in liberal arts. But there's famous people in liberal arts. Famous people doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be super crazy influential. It just means they have to be well known. What happened? You found out that liberal arts has famous people? I'm confused. Ah, yeah. No, that not that. Yeah, I mean, I've never had a bad experience with liberal arts people, but then again, I haven't met anyone famous for liberal arts. I did it wrong again. No. Oh wait, did I? No, I did it right. I just didn't close it all the way. Yeah, it's crazy how much emphasis we put as a society on just being well known. Like, I wouldn't consider myself a very well known person aside from, like, my high school. I was known there, but I wasn't known for doing anything crazy. But to this day, my little sister still gets asked if she's related to me. Because the people all around the city know me. And I don't know why they know me. I didn't do anything crazy. Looking distinct. That's a good theory, I guess. So if you stand out, I guess that makes you more memorable because people have to think about it more when they're encoding the three things that they see when you see a person. And usually, like psychology is, at least from what I've heard, said that the three top things that people do. Yeah. I'd say that my high school town wasn't. Depends on which high school. The first high school, very one thing. Second high school, not very one thing. For some reason, I have stood out at both. For doing absolutely. And it's like, and I didn't do anything special at either of them. It's like, more people know me than. And like, I only had 2 appearances in the yearbook, and I didn't even get to show up in the yearbook. My name's not in my own yearbook for the year that I graduated. I just found that out, like, recently. I found my old yearbook, I tore it open, I was like, yeah, I'll go find myself in there again. I could not. I think that that's crazy. So I knew the people that put the yearbook together. Ooh, don't fall. Nope. I wonder if it's a skill to just know a lot of people. Like, does it take skill to do that? I don't really think so. Just need to be present. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess we do have a unique way of telling stories. Nah. Yeah, knowing people, not really a skilled thing. I guess you could argue that knowing people, like knowing a lot of people, could be a skill. Like just maintaining that social bubble. But just the fact of knowing, like a bunch of people. Ah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for the clarification. That does make it a little bit more specific. Ah, yeah. So yeah, I'm also just fiercely independent and don't ask for help. I guess that's a toxic trait to an extent. to not ask for help. But it's also something you can work through. No! Don't drop. And I guess it's also something that might come with age. You know, still being relatively young. I'm arrogant, I guess, because of my age. And as I get older, I would learn to ask for help more. At least that's general theory. Yeah, it is self-isolating, but, like, you know, because I'm aware of it, I kind of can control it. Like, I when I'm doing it, I recognize that I'm doing it, rather than being, like, a cognitive thing, I guess. Is that the word? Cognitive? Present? Got to go. Hey, it's a shorthand. I like the nickname. GTGG. Although it does kind of sound like got to go. Good game. Yeah. Being, recognizing that you're, immortal, just. That does kind of put it in more of a perspective. This was one of my friends. He tried to help me by showing me perspective theory, I guess, where he put everything into a perspective. It works for him, but, to each their own. Lots of G sounds, but the thing about... Oh, wait, no, there is. I mean, it was mostly universal sounds that most people can pronounce. That's what I was going for. And then I realized that I'm an idiot because there's not a universal R in every language. It was also a name that was given to me by one of my friends. So I just kind of stuck with it. I did promise him I was going to try to start this channel. But then I got too busy and haven't done much with it. I did do one video, and that one's sort of catching on. And it's beyond me why it's catching on, because it wasn't a very high quality video, but I do suppose when you do a video of something that's not very common, people don't really have an option. Nope. Nope. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I thought about starting a podcast, but then at the same time, kind of wanted to do it with more than one person. And I'm also way too busy for it. Well, not too busy. I could handle it. Nope. That could be cool. The other problem with podcasting is you kind of need someone to license it. Like, I know how to do it. It's not too complicated. It's just a matter of getting it approved. You have to, like, pitch it to someone. Yeah, yeah. You know, I have a bad tendency of talking to myself. So when I'm doing that, people think that I'm either crazy or that I am on a phone call with someone. So I've had to start wearing more headphones so that it makes it look like I'm not just talking to myself. But yeah, I do like how podcasts kind of are more conversational. Kind of fills the void, you know? Like, I like listening to them when I'm driving. It kind of simulates conversation, keeps my brain awake. Guess it's also kind of why like people like talk radio or sports radio because it's just talking about a topic that they care about. The negative side of that is I feel like people. I mean, it's also because you know me. I also feel like there's a downside to podcasts because it makes people start to monetize their friendships. And to some people it works out. But it's becoming more and more transactional with some people, I guess. I don't really like that. Never been a fan of transactional relationships. But yeah, I've almost taught myself other languages just so I can start talking out loud again. Yeah, friendships is a business venture. You see, it almost never works out when people monetize friendships. It's either that they were transactional to begin with, or it ends up becoming all about the money. Or like what one person can contribute to the group or something like that. And I don't really. I feel like that's just icky. Yucky. But yeah, teaching myself other languages just so I can talk out loud and people not know what I'm saying. Or inventing languages just so it means something to me and not to anyone else so that I can actually just talk out loud. Hybrid languages. What's a conlang? Is that like a fake language? Or conversational language? Really? Yeah, yeah, I knew Tolkien was invented his own languages. Yeah, see, I've always liked languages as like a concept, just being able to translate them and break them down into their root meanings. But mostly, I guess I was. See, I'm very sound based. So, like, I liked sounding like the people speaking it. So, like, whenever I was taking language classes, I would try to get the pronunciation correct. And it would drive me mad when people wouldn't get the pronunciation right, even though the professor was giving it to them. Like, they'd be completely off. And I don't know why, and it's not fair, for me to get upset about it. But for whatever reason, it was upsetting. Yeah, but you see, like I'm interested in it, but I also am not the most interested in it. So like enjoy doing it, but I can't see myself doing just linguistics and the studies of language. Yeah, honestly, I considered studying just networking and internet stuff because that's basically a language in and of itself. It allows me to do physical working with physical goods, and then it also has like a technology section to it. You know, it's not. I don't think it's always pronunciation. I guess it's just the sounding of it. If it sounds harsh or wrong, like let's see. I'm trying to think of like a good example of it. Like, let's see. Like, I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but I just remember, like, the way that the teacher would say something. Oh, here's a good one. So in Germany, there's a city called Hamburg. Hamburg. But a lot of people here pronounce it Hamburg. So it's Hamburg. In Deutschland. And apparently, it's a normal thing for people to mispronounce that. Because I had a friend who was from Germany, and when I asked, like, I was talking to him, like, oh yeah, my professor, not professor, my German teacher, she was from the city of Hamburg, like Hamburg. And he said, he was like, oh, you actually got it right. So a lot of people don't. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize is English, in and of itself, is just a mix of a lot of things. Jawohl, ich sprechen Sie Deutsch. Also, wir wollen nach Hamburg. 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 No, it's the supermarket. Yeah, like English, French, German, Spanish, they're all very similar. And other languages, they're very similar. Like, I find them very similar in sense of structure to other ones. Like, the way that uh, how Germany counts is very similar to how Asian countries count, where they do, like, if we're counting past 20 or 10, they say the number 20, and then they say the number. Like, if we're going to 26, they'll say 20 and 6. So instead of it being 26, it's 20 and 6. And that's also why they tend to be better at math, because they can easily distinguish them, and they just have a greater emphasis. They have a better way of communicating numbers than we do in English. It's much more specific. Whereas in English, it can get messy. Which is why one of my professors, who was from China, he told me that it was a lot easier to do math. It was a lot easier to teach people in China math than it was here in America, because the way that language is structured. He was frustrated because of how difficult it was. But it's just crazy to think that something as simple as language can affect the way that we calculate things. At least mentally. That's why mental math is something we struggle with. It's also because our English is a very well-written language, where some languages are better spoken to get information. There's like a theory out there that human memory has been influenced by the fact that we now write everything down. Our long-term memory has been influenced by it. I mean, it's also been like a long time since I've taken German, so my pronunciation might not be spot on anymore. Hamburg. It's always the R's that I struggle with. Don't know why. Yeah. Was it Romanized or something, like anglicized? Yeah, I had a friend trying to explain that to me. Yeah, like Korean's one of those languages that does not do well if you're trying to Romanize it, where you put it in the English characters. Like, it's possible, but they're sound based, whereas English letters are not sound based. They have two sounds usually, so that's why they're called diphthongs. So like, whereas like in Korean, Russian, and other languages like that, like letters have one sound, and that's the only sound that they make. Whereas in English, we can have multiple letters make multiple different sounds. And it's one of the hardest things to teach non-English speakers. And even native English speakers still struggle with it sometimes. But that's why it said that like Korean was designed to be one of the simplest languages to learn to write, was because it was sound based. You just have to sound it out and you could pretty much write it. And that was kind of in contrast to the way that Chinese writing was done at the time. where it was so complex that it was almost impossible to write it down, that they would instead rather speak it. And very few people knew how to write it. It's just a different emphasis. Which is why, at the time, the only stuff that was written down was scholarly articles or stuff that was approved by the learners at the time, the teachers, or what was the word for it? I guess a scholar was the right word. Yeah, it's a lot easier for me now. So, like, getting the writing down takes about a month, and then after that, you can pretty much read and write the entire language. You won't know what it means, but you can read and write it. The hard part is then translating the sounds into words, because they can have multiple meanings. Because they're working with a limited alphabet. While simplifying the alphabet, they made it more complex with the grammar rules. That's kind of a unintended consequence. But yes, the Hangul is a lot easier. The one complicated fact is numbers for me. I struggled with the native and Shino, or Sino. I think it was just because my professor didn't explain it very well. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain because they have two sets of numbers. And you just kind of have to know when to use which one. Yeah, unintended consequences. It's a big thing with social work, is finding out the externalities that happen from major sweeping changes. And it's like, Chinese history has always been interesting to me because there's because of the fact that a lot of it wasn't written down. It's very interesting to me because it kind of goes counter to what we kind of think of history. Same thing with like the Polynesian history and like Native American history, where it's mostly oral and pictorial, where they use pictures to depict what happened in history rather than words. And like the Chinese language in and of itself, when you're writing it, is also very picture based. So like Korean is sound based, whereas like Chinese Mandarin writing is all pictorial based. So like the drawing of this means tree. The drawing of this means bird and stuff like that. Whereas in Korean, this line means like the sound and the sound. But yeah, like I like pausing stuff in movies now or in TV shows and just reading it. Well, that was the thing was pictorial language dominated the early centuries for writing. It wasn't until merchant traders came in that we started having a written language, and that was all invented so we could trade. So we'd have a universal language of trade. And it would make more sense to have a universal language be pictures, you would think. But that's just not how it worked out. History's weird. And I feel like there's an overemphasis in history on written history compared to oral history. Like a lot of people don't think that they should be held on the same level of importance. Same thing with pictorial, or pictorial, they often think that stuff is being exaggerated. But you can do the same with words. And often it's pointed and changed. Just knowing the difference between how English used to sound and how it is now, it's just insane. Like, look up sound clips of Old English. I wouldn't be able to decipher what they were saying without studying it. I feel like some of English is vestigial too. Yeah, that'd be an interesting like alternate history thing if someone like changed the course of history. History is also weird because like there wasn't really this idea of unified nations for a long time. Like nationalism is a new age thing relative to history. Like people used to say that they were belonging to like a little countryside or something rather than saying that they're like, American or German or Korean. Pretty much. That's pretty accurate for how English kind of exists today. It's also kind of interesting that the American accent is closer to the original English accent than the actual like British English accent, just in sound and pronunciation. Although they sound nothing alike, in my opinion. Hello. I'm waving. There was one warrior who said that for Wakanda should kill. Yeah, I've never really understood this whole idea of nationalism. Especially since I think that most governments are corrupt when you get any size of scale. I kind of figured it was you, Bryce. But I didn't know. I didn't assume. Ah, yes, one of those good NEAPs. A nap like it's a nap before time, like the Land Before Time style. I don't know why that spelling reminds me of Land Before Time. Just umlauts. Is it really a nap though if it's like 3 in the morning? I guess that's just sleep. Like what qualifies a nap? Yeah, I have one of those. Reverse circadian rhythms. Night shift working. It'll do that to you. Also, this whole living in the polar vortex. No judging, no judging. And how would that go? I don't know, somehow I manage to usually get 7. It's the cold embrace of winter with no sunlight, no warmth. Just cold. I mean, there's bound to be ethical versions of it out there. Not everything has to be horrible. No, I'm not monetized. At this rate, not going to get monetized. My application got rejected for lack of viewers. They expect you to get 1,000 views like a week. I think my highest viewed video is like 100 views. Like, I think Google is still allowed to put ads on my video, but I don't get any money for it. That's the spirit. Not everything has to be horrible. The very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But still, here I am. Not everything has to be horrible. Oh yeah, for Bryce catching up, these are Akko sponge switches that I'm just lubing up right now. In a non-erotic fashion, you know. There are other uses for it. Oh. I assume that you were typing out something very long. I mean, you can always post it in the Discord. I can see that too. Yeah, see, I'm actually going for the sought after thok sound rather than clicky. Yes, yes, the key to any mechanical keyboard is lubing it correctly. Not over lubing, not under lubing. Gotta get that Goldilocks amount of lube. I just love how everything that Bryce has typed so far in the past 15 minutes, I've had to approve as a moderator. You know, sounds like a good Tuesday to him. You know, just weatherman. Climate change is kind of on, little on the nose. I just imagine if he brought a polar bear into it. And here I was on campus just trying to enjoy a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. And I got a full-on lecture from one girl that decided she needed to tell me that the polar bears are dying and it's all my fault because I ate a chicken sandwich. Oh, there it is. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, see, that's more messaging we can get behind. The true solution was anal. Well, I reacted calmly and continued to eat my sandwich. She's like, "You have to stop." And I just kept eating. Oh, I just minded my own business. I wasn't being rude. I still listened to her. I just chose to ignore it. Yeah. I just can't wait to be done with it. That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah. Yeah, like I get to graduate in like, what's it, couple months now? Spring? April? How far is April? Got December, January, February, March, April. 5 months. 5 months. And then I get to graduate. That's when they deem me ready. Yeah, for me it was weird when like the kids that were like little kids in my neighborhood started going to high school. I felt old. And then my little sister called me old, which made me feel even more old. Yeah, see, like I do agree that something has to change for us to save the planet, but it has to be on a much bigger scale. We can't do individual solutions. Individual solutions only go so far, and they're not going to do big changes. What really has to happen is businesses have to get together and agree to take lower profits for a select couple of years in the future, where they can actually take care of their emissions and planets, like the planet that we're on. Like I found like one major loophole that they've been doing right now. Yeah, no. Yeah, like a big problem that they've been doing is this whole catching carbon in the air. I forget what it's called, but they're taking like giant filters with fans on them, blowing carbon through them. They're collecting that carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere, and then just selling it to instead of disposing of it and keeping it out of the atmosphere, they're selling it to oil refinery companies to shoot into the ground to make more oil and pollute more. But because it's a green solution, they get to market as that they're doing something for the environment. It's like the same thing that happens with these solar and like recycling companies is they come up with these huge plans where they have to get all these credits for it, and they just don't do what they promise. It's always like companies will always act in the interest of profits no matter what, even if it destroys the planet or people's lives. I speak like this even though I am a business major just because I'm upset with the way they actually do it. See, I just don't like Elon Musk in general. No, no, they're shooting into the ground to create more to get the oil collection. So instead of just disposing of it and taking it out of the atmosphere, they're aerating it. So the whole point of carbon capture is to get it out of the atmosphere so that it's not acting as a greenhouse gas. What we're trying to do to capture it would be to dispose of it and like use it in chemical processes that we use for like in laboratory environments and stuff like that. What they're doing right now is they're using it as an agent to just shoot the compressed carbon dioxide into the ground to collect more oil deposits, kind of like how fracking works. Yeah, yeah, it's basically like fracking. Yeah, yeah, it doesn't create new oil. It just takes more uh like oil deposits that we can't collect with just a pump. So they're getting like the small extra little bits, but in doing so, they're just using other companies' carbon emissions. So the amount of carbon in the atmosphere stays the same, but we have to do run like a bunch of carbon collecting things all around the world in order to get a usable amount of it. So we're polluting more to create more pollution. Yeah, and I did see Elon Musk's tweet to the United Nations, and like he's all he does is say controversial stuff to get more views so that people like him more. And because he's a likable figure, people are more likely to have business with him. And that's why I just don't like Elon Musk. Because he's very manipulative and people just don't realize it. Like, he's a marketing genius. But that's also why I just don't like him. So all marketing basically is manipulation. And I know because that's my field. I try to do it socially responsibly, but there's a lot of people out there that don't share my moral views. Okay, so here's an example of it. Put it on the escape key. It closed it. Yeah, and that's without a back plate or a motherboard. That's just in my hand. Like a Thok is more of a a deep sounding. The contraction did not. But yes, I do agree he's an attention whore. But yes, this is the motherboard that it'll be going into. But I have to desolder all of these points to get it to work. And the cool thing about this motherboard, I don't know if you guys can see it, but every single switch is labeled. So that's the backspace plus equals minus 098765432 You know, it's all here. And like the space bar. And this one, I could add LEDs to it, but that's also a lot more work, and I don't have the LEDs. But yes, the ultimate goal of this is replacing out all of these, what are they, Otemu Browns? Yeah, Otemu Brown switches. So they just have like a... Well, you'd be surprised at how much manufacturing is become more convenient. Like manufacturing, like mass manufacturing has downsides, but it also makes things more convenient for repair when it's labeled like this. So you'll see with a lot of the cheaper stuff that's meant to be made in factories that they make it so that it's easily repairable, so that when it gets returned defective, they can take it apart and quickly diagnose which one needs to be fixed. Yeah, but like the non-LED version of this, the one that I have, it's like a $40 keyboard. The LED version is like 80. And the LEDs cost like 2 cents more, I think, to actually add them for each, like, let's see, yeah, like 2 cents per switch or something like that. So it just didn't make sense at the time to purchase it. That's the problem with knowing how things are made. You know what things are worth. Let's see if you guys can see the keycaps. Let's try this one more time. Yeah, the whole knowing how much it costs at Starbucks versus how much they charge kind of ruins the experience. Okay, so it's a little glary. No, I do not. I do not believe that the market itself adds value. But yeah, you can see like the Shiba on it. Yeah, I kind of hated economics class because I just always thought that no one would act in each other's interests. They would only act selfishly. Is basically what I believe, which I've found more true. But yeah, it's like a Shiba Inu set because my girlfriend likes dogs, and it was the right profile that I like, the XDA profile, which is larger. Let's see. Let's see, does it work? Yeah, so I think that's gonna finish what I'm doing tonight. Yeah, you can see my artwork back there. That's actually from Korea. Like, I didn't. It's like we've picked that up. Oh, yeah, all the viewers will pour in now. Yeah, I do like the artwork. I think. Yeah, to make sure you can see all of it. Let's see. Let's see if it goes up. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually gonna do any more keyboard work tonight, but I do have. Yeah. The I haven't finished all of those yet. The sound dampening because of how I am. I had to learn how to cancel out all the sounds and the bars. Yes, blue is one of my favorite colors, especially like cyan. But yeah, I taught myself how sound bounces around the room, and I learned about bass traps. So like the long bars over there are bass traps. They cancel out the bassy sounds. And the panels, the square panels behind me, those ones are more of the treble sounds. And I haven't finished the treble canceling, so it makes me sound a lot um, higher than usual than the bass sound. But I do know, yes, I am Team Purple, so I do love purple too. So like purple and cyan are my two favorite colors for as far as color schemes go. I love the way that they match. Although green is growing on me recently. I don't know why. I guess it's because I like matcha now. Yes, my ears are sensitive. Antifungal. Oh. Yeah, matcha green isn't fungus. Matcha's a root, I think, right? Should be a root. Okay. So I stand corrected. Matcha is a leaf, which can also contain the root of the plant depending on who made it. Alright, I think I'm going to end this stream, but I might join you guys in Discord, so if you guys want to talk to me, I'll be there. Okay, so ending this stream. I'll meet you guys in the Discord. I don't know which one we'll meet in, but we'll be there.